Hello and welcome to this lecture on necrosis. We will discuss the definition and different type of necrosis with example in this video. So first of all, let's see the definition. It is defined as localized area of death of tissues followed later by degradation of tissues by hydrolytic enzymes liberated from the dead cells. If we break this definition into subsections, we can understand this definition very well. So first of all, you need to understand that the necrosis is the localized area of cell death. Then they mention the degradation of tissues by hydrolytic enzyme. Degradation of tissues by hydrolytic enzyme. So it means that it is a cell death of the localized area, and obviously we know that tissues are made of by cells. So how this happen? This happened because of this presence of hydrolytic enzyme. What are hydrolytic enzymes? It is defined as lysosomal enzymes released by necrotic cells or neutrophils. So the main thing is you have to understand that they are known as lysosomal enzymes. What are lysosomal enzymes? Lysosomal enzymes are synthesized in the endoplasmic reticulum and transported to the Golgi apparatus. So we must understand that the necrosis is caused by localized area of cell death caused by the hydrolytic enzymes. These hydrolytic enzymes are lysosomal enzymes which is released or synthesized in endoplasmic reticulum and are transported through Golgi bodies. So next question is that what is the cause of necrosis? It is caused by hypoxia, chemical agents or physical agents, microbial agents, or immunological injuries. When we talk about hypoxia, we discussed before as well that it is the word hypoxia, and the word hype mean low, whereas oxia mean oxygen. So in the disease where there is low oxygen level, we known as hypoxia. Why that decrease of the oxygen? Because of ischemia. That is one of the factors that is responsible for necrosis. Then physical or chemical agents such as acid or alkali, and physical agents. Then we talk about microbial agents. It could be caused because of the bacteria or viruses. Then immunological injuries caused by autoimmune disorders. Let's discuss classification of necrosis. We classify them into 5 different types depending upon morphology and etiology. So it is classified into coagulative necrosis, liquefactive necrosis or liquefaction necrosis, then caseous necrosis, then we have fat necrosis, and the last is fibrinoid necrosis. Let's discuss one by one. Cognitive necrosis. It is defined as sudden cessation of the blood flow and less oftenly from bacteria or chemical agents. So, in the first case, when we talk about cognitive necrosis, it is caused because of the ischemia necrosis, which is caused by lack of oxygen or lack of blood supply, and it is not caused by bacteria and chemical agents. The organs that are commonly affected are heart, kidney, and spleen. What is the morphology of this disease? Initially, the organ look like pale, firm, and slightly swollen. And the technical term is known as infarct. So if you take a look of this picture, this is a picture of kidney, and this section, if you take a look on it, and I am highlighting it, so this color you can see this is pale in color, this area is firm and having slightly swollen, but this is the initial stage of necrosis. With the passage of time, the characteristics become changes from pale to yellowish in color, softer and shrunken. So that infarct is start with pale color, but the color change from pale to yellowish, and then the organ become shrunk and softer. So if you see, initially it is swollen, but later on with the progression of the disease, the organ shrink and softer. Whereas initially the organ look like firm, and then later on it becomes softer. So these are the progression of the disease, the characteristics, especially the gross characteristics changes with time. When we take a look on microscopic characteristics, we have to see the next slide. And in this slide, when you see, the main thing is actually the conversion of normal cells into their tombstones. The term tombstone is used as metaphor. This term is used as metaphor. What is the meaning of metaphor? It is defined as a representative or symbolic of something else. It means the cells look like stone-like structure, and that stone-like structure, because it resemble with the stone, so they mention the change of characteristics from normal cell to a tombstone is the key characteristic in cognitive necrosis. And you can see that this is known as metaphor. It means it is not actually a stone, but it resembles with a stone-like structure. Now, how can we say it is a tomb store? Let's see this structure. You see, this is known as necrotic tissue, and this is actually viable renal tissues. And when we compare both structures, we can get our answer, because when we compare both structure, the difference is found is actually the cell outline retained, and the cell type can still be observed or recognized. If we compare the necrotic tissue and compare with viable renal tissues, we found that both structures look like similar. The appearance is almost similar, but actually the appearance is similar, but uh, inside the cell they are functional different. So what are the functional changes? In cognitive necrosis in Enfant kidney, what has happened that the cell will retain its structure, but the cytoplasm and nuclear details are lost. If we see this case, the cytoplasm and nuclear structure are lost as compared with this viable renal tissues. And we can see this in this case, you can see the cell compared with both of them. These are the dispersed dotted line nucleus that could be found here. It means what has happened, the nucleus has been lost, and the nucleus has been lost and the cytoplasm also lost in this type of necrosis. How can we explain our nuclear and cytoplasmic changes in necrosis? Let's see the next slide. Okay, this is the figure for nuclear and cytoplasmic changes in necrosis, and there are 4 different stages from normal cell to karyolysis. And we see a common thing is that the change of the color of the cytoplasm from less pink to more pink. This is the main difference from normal cell to karyolysis. Then the second thing that has been observed very strongly is the nucleus has been shrunk. Further on, it split up into pieces, fragmentation of the nucleus, and then it become lost or disappeared. So if we go back to our slide, back to back, and we found that if we compare the necrotic tissues and viable renal tissues, we found that the nucleus has been lost in the necrotic tissues, and you can find these dispersed nucleus inside. And this is the key characteristic that has been observed in that. So in cognitive necrosis, the cells are swollen, and then the nuclear changes has been observed, and eventually the necrosed cells is infiltrated by the inflammatory cells, and the dead cells are phagocytosed, uh, leaving the granular debris and fragmentation of the cells. That's how the cognitive necrosis will process. If we take a look of both pictures, left and right, the right picture is actually shame, and these are all showing you the presence of cognitive necrosis. Next is liquefaction necrosis. It is also known as qualicoative necrosis, and it is defined as the injury that is caused due to the ischemic injury and also bacteria and fungal infection. But hydrolytic enzymes in the tissue degradation have a dominant role, causing a semi-fluid like material. So when we compare the cognitive necrosis with the liquefaction necrosis, the key difference is that it is not only caused by ischemia, but it is also caused by bacteria and fungal infection. That is the first main thing. The second important thing that is very important, that they also talking about the hydrolytic enzyme, but in this case the hydrolytic enzyme have a dominant role. And what is hydrolytic enzyme? I already discussed in the previous slide that these are known as lysosomal enzymes. For example, protease. Protease is actually a lysosomal enzyme. But in this case, in liquefaction, it have a major role. It has a dominant role. The common example in liquefaction necrosis are infarct brain, as mentioned in the slide, and abscess cavity. How can we see morphologically? Let's see the next slide. If we see the gross structure, the affected area is a soft with liquefied center containing necrotic debris and later formation of the cyst wall. This is the necrotic area, and you can see this structure is showing you soft, and then if you see the structure you can feel the liquid material. But with the progression of the disease, it may form the cyst. What is cyst? Cyst is the space that containing necrotic cell debris and macrophages filled with phagocytosed cell. And the cyst wall is actually formed by proliferating capillaries, inflammatory cells, and gangliosis. In case of brain, so you have to understand that it initially start with the formation of soft liquid material, but with the progression it will form the cyst, which consists of the proliferating capillaries, inflammatory cells, gangliosis in case of brain. So this is very important. If you take a look of microscopic characteristics of liquefaction necrosis, we can find very key characteristics in the microscopic slide. Here we can find the liquefactive necrosis, this at this zone, whereas it will also produce granulation tissues and gangliosis in case of necrosis of the brain. And these gangliosis and granulation tissues are responsible to form the cyst. What are granulation tissues? Granulation tissues consist of abundance of newly blood vessels, scattered macrophages, and inflammatory cells, and extracellular matrix. So actually they all make the cyst. We will discuss the brain necrosis in detail in the system. If we take a look on the right slide, these all structure showing you the presence of liquefactive necrosis along with the granulation tissues. But because the picture is not zoomed, because this is the microscopic picture taken from the microscope, we cannot able to see very clearly. That's why on the left side this picture has been drawn to explain the liquefaction necrosis. So the key characteristics must be the presence of liquefactive necrosis, granulation tissues, and gangliosis. Next is caseous necrosis. As the name indicate, if you take a look of the word caseous, it means it has a cheese-like structure. the macroscopically or the gross structure look like a cheese. That's why they term as caseous necrosis. The common example in caseous necrosis is tuberculosis infection, and they also known as the combination of cognitive necrosis and liquefactive necrosis. So it means it is a combination of both type of necrosis. Okay, let's take a look at this slide. You see, if you take this and zoom it, this structure look like cheese. So that's why they term as caseous necrosis. If we can say that the caseous necrosis would look like a dry cheese, then it look like soft structure, then it are granular and yellowish. Let's take a look of microscopic characteristics. If we take a look of this microscopic characteristics, the main thing is that you see the formation of caseous necrosis, formation of granulomatous inflammation, and then viable lymphoid tissues will be formed. A common example to understand caseous necrosis is cardiac sarcoidosis. Which is a rare disease in which a cluster of white blood cells or granuloma is formed in the tissue of the heart. Let's take an example of fat necrosis. Fat necrosis is a special form of cell death occurring mainly at fat-rich anatomic location of the body, according to the definition. And the common example are traumatic fat necrosis of the breast, especially in pendulous breast. What is the traumatic fat necrosis? This is the picture of breast fat necrosis, and this is example of traumatic necrosis, which is caused because of some injury, and in this case the nipple retracts. It may look red or bruised as well if you take a look of the breast fat necrosis. Sometimes the skin tethers, means skin has been removed from around the breast. Then the field look like the heart or round lumps around the section, or sometimes usually the surrounding area showing you the lumps, and the surrounding area is showing you the pain. So these all characteristics are the symptoms of breast fat necrosis. When we talk about fat necrosis, we also discuss the other example of pendulous breast. And here this is an example of the pendulous breast. I'm just giving you example, and this line is showing you the crease line, and you can see the pendulous breast. It is defined as when the nipple and the lower breast mass are below from the breast crease line of the chest. So this is the crease line, the blue line is showing you, and if it's showing you down to the crease line, that is mean that the breast is pendulous in structure. This is a structure that's showing you the gross structure of the fat necrosis, and we are talking about the structure. It is look like the yellowish white in color. The color, you can see the yellow color and the white color. When we take a look of microscopic characteristics of fat necrosis, we take an example of acute pancreatitis in this case. And when we take a look of fat necrosis in this picture, and especially when we talk about the fat necrosis, which is occur in the breast, or it could be occur in pancreatitis, or it could be occur in pancreas. Why? This is very important question, that why and the fat necrosis occur in the pancreas. You need to understand the physiology of pancreas, and you need to understand that pancreas contain acinar cells, and that acinar cells actually its work by the presence of calcium. So the role of calcium is very important in normal function of pancreas, especially for the acinar cells. But what happens if the calcium is less in amount, or we can say in technical terms hypocalcemia, then it results in pancreatitis. And then when there is hypocalcemia, what happens? The fat that is present around the mesentery has been auto digest by the pancreatic enzyme and release free fatty acid. So this is very important. So mesentery fat necrosis will occur because of the fat saponification from pancreatitis, or you can say the fat digestion, which damage the pancreas because of the lipolytic enzyme, and then disturb the fat tissues. So that is very important. So when we take a look of fat necrosis, especially acute pancreatitis, the formation of cloud is the more prominent, and they mentioned there is a cloudy appearance of adipocytes. So the cloudy appearance of the adipocytes is the main characteristic in fat necrosis. What is adipocytes? If we take a word, it is actually the word come from adipo and then sites. And adipo means adipose. And site mean the cells. So it is actually the location where the adipose cells or tissues are present, and we can say these are the storage of the adipose or fat. And what happen when the necrosis occur? They will form the cloudy appearance, and then they also form the basophilic granular debris, while showing you the periphery. While the periphery show a few mixed inflammatory cells. So it means it could show not only the cloudy appearance but also showing mixed inflammatory cells. So what is meant by mixed inflammatory cells? It means it consists of macrophages, it consists of the other inflammatory mediators. Last, we have fibrinoid necrosis, which is actually characterized by the deposition of fibrin-like material, and it has been stained with the help of this phosphotungsten and hematoxylin stain. So the first of all, you need to understand that it is characterized by the fibrin-like material. So this is the key characteristics in fibrinoid necrosis. Then when we talk about how we stain them using this phosphotungsten hematoxylin stain, PTAH stain. And this the most common example of fibrinoid necrosis is autoimmune diseases, and especially the example is vasculitis. Now, when we take a look of microscopic characteristics, it is identified by the presence of eosinophilic and hairline-like depositions around the vessels. This picture is not very clear, so I am going to show you another picture to explain this fibrinoid necrosis. When we explain the vasculitis and we explain fibrinoid necrosis, this picture is give you more clear example. this round structure that is showing you, this is an example to show you the presence of the arteries, and this is actually showing you the presence of fiber like material, which is a key characteristics in fibrinoid necrosis, where we mentioned the main important thing in fibrinoid necrosis is the presence of hyaline like deposition in the vessel wall. So if this is the vessel wall, and this vessel wall containing hyaline like material. Moreover, also the main thing that is present in this fibrinoid necrosis is the presence of nuclear debris of neutrophils. So you can see surrounding there are nuclear debris also present, and this red portion is showing you the presence of the blood. Because of this necrosis around an artery, it leads to the damage of that artery and result in the blood leakage or local hemorrhage because of the rupture of blood vessels. So thank you so much for today's lecture. Hope to see you again.